You're listening to the Radcast, a top 25 worldwide business podcast. If it's radical, we cover it. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. I'm Ryan Alford, your host. Excited today to talk with my new good friend, C-Roc. What's up, brother?
What's happening, Ryan? Glad to be here on the Radcast, man.
The Radcast.
Fired up. Let's go.
I know. Hey, man. Pretty rad yourself. I enjoyed meeting you at Think Billions. It's funny, you gravitate towards like-minded people and, I loved your energy and, just how engaged you were at the event and big ideas, doing big things, man. And, hey, C-Roc. I mean, I like a personal brand, but geez, I just like saying C-Roc. I love it. It suits you.
My friends couldn't pronounce my last name, so they started calling me C-Roc, and I'm like, if you guys, that's what we're going to do. Let's just make a brand around it. But actually, real quick, I'll tell you before you ask your first question.
Yeah.
I don't mean to take over your show.
Please, you take it over.
Listen, I was at this event at Grant Cardone's office, right?
Yep.
And I'm hanging out, and we did the speaking thing. We were going through how to create your story and all this. And I just stood up and introduced myself, and I said, "Hey, my name's C-Roc or Mike C-Roc. My friends call me C-Roc," and they told me immediately that's what grabbed them. Like, my friends call me C-Roc, and so I'm like, "Well, shit, I'm now your boy C-Roc. Like that's gonna be it." And I just ran with it, and it seems to be working out pretty good.
No, man. Yeah, I think so. Host of What Are You Made Of podcast. I see your gear in the background. I love the branding. And for those that, we'll formally Mike C-Roc, but better known as, and we'll see how many times we say C-Roc in this episode.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But usually I throw something in the beginning of it.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Hey, first guest, and we're hitting episode 300 launches this week, already recorded. So you'll be maybe 304, 305 by the time this rolls out. But first guest, I think, that had a soundboard.
Oh, no way, man. That's awesome. I didn't even ask permission. I don't do that. I get in trouble a lot, brother. I just do some stuff sometimes. And
look, it's the Radcast. If I started getting on to people for doing something on the show, I mean, you can't be the fucking Radcast to be like, you can't do that. We're kind of the Radcast is meant to break the rules.
Oh, man. Yeah, I have some fun with the soundboard. It's probably a mistake for them to put this in my hands, but I'm on Clubhouse messing around. I do rooms on Clubhouse, and I think I told you yesterday, I bring out little C-Roc. He's got this little high-pitched voice, and he's like my alter ego, and I can say some ignorant stuff through little C-Roc voice, and everybody loves him. And I try to stay straight and narrow myself.
Yeah, right. I love it, man. Well, cool, Mike. Let's talk. I know we're gonna dig into some stuff, and about your background and all that sort of thing, but let's at least place you in the mind of everybody. You're a serial entrepreneur, run a lot of companies, doing the podcast, heavily into the personal branding side. We'll get into that, but let's at least ground it for everybody with, what got you here today, that a little bit of that journey.
Yeah, look, for the longest time, I started in home sales back in the 98, right? I would go to houses, drive all over the freaking Delmarva Peninsula, the Mid-Atlantic region, and cut my teeth on in-home sales. And I absolutely hated it, but I didn't know anything else. Like, I was in the restaurant business because I dropped out of college with a 4.0. I was just done with college. I watched the movie Cocktail with Tom Cruise, thought I was going to go and do what he did in the restaurant business. And unfortunately, the restaurant business at the time, it's a lot of cash and drugs, women, alcohol, staying up late. And I went down that wrong path, man. And I didn't even drink until I got to college. Like, I was so focused on football. And, man, I went off the wrong path. And, when you do that, a lot of times I feel like, I just lost my focus. And I thought that I was grasping anything I could grasp onto to get paid the bills. And it ended up being in-home sales. I hated that job, but it made money and it taught me a lot, man. More than the money, it taught me a lot. And so eventually I got into real estate and mortgages and started building. And I've always leveled up. Like, I'd start something and accomplish something, and I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next? And I just started leveling up. And I didn't really know what I was doing most of the time, Ryan. I just kind of figured it out and understood that revenue drives companies. And I just try to focus on revenue all the time. Revenue. So, that's kind of where I got it started. And then, in 2017, I decided, I was making money. I was living a good life. I have a house here in Ocean City. I can see downtown Ocean City. The bay's right here. I got this man cave in here and a pool and wife, 20 years married, awesome wife, 2 kids, healthy, right? Good life. And I started to settle, right? I started settling that goodness. And I woke up about 2017, 18. I'm like, there's got to be more, man. I got to be, but I had to be willing to give up good to go for it, right? And so that's where I ended up going after and starting to become a serial entrepreneur. I just started like, man, there's so much more. I got to play a bigger game. And worst case scenario, I can always go back to the Caribbean, be a bartender.
Making some cocktails. That brought back some memories right there. I was thinking, as you said that, seeing Tom Cruise macking on every girl down in the Caribbean at making martinis.
Dreams and cocktails.
Yes. Oh, man. I love it, dude. It's funny you talk about the level up stuff. Like, we all see the monikers. You got to give up good to go to great. But it's true. It's like, but what makes that click? What makes that someone finally take that leap, especially when, it's easy to go, not easy, it's easier, if you're 25, no wife, no kids, no responsibilities to a degree other than yourself, to flip that switch to go, all right, I'm average, I'm going to go big and not have to risk a whole lot other than my own fortune, I guess. But how, what made that really tick for you?
Well, by the way, I was playing golf 3 times a week. I got down to a 3 handicap. I'm hanging out with older guys. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, like I'm already in this retired mode. Like this is bullshit. I'm not going to, am I allowed to cuss on the show? I'm sorry, man.
Oh, fuck yeah. Dude, okay. It's a Radcast.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I have a mouth sometimes. I mean, I'm a Christian. I read the Bible. Listen, I pray. I go to church, but I have a mouth and I'm working on it, man.
I'm the same way.
I like to use it for punctuation. My wife gives me crap all the time about it, but anyway, what was the damn question again, man? What makes that tick though?
I mean, what made you go like, okay, I got to go big, and what, not just, it wasn't what made you, I know look, we all think it, everybody thinks it, but what made it go into action?
So, 2019, my stepfather, who stepped in to be my father when I was about 10 or 11 years old, he passed away from a sudden heart attack. And he was a hunter. He'd go out in the woods and hunt and walk. And he always wanted, he said, if I die, I want to die in the woods. Well, he almost died in the woods. He got to his car and he had a sudden heart attack. And we got the call in the middle of the night. And it was like a shocking call, like, getting a call like that. And, but what happened to me at that moment is like, holy cow, like he was 62 years old and I was like 40, like early 40s. And I'm like, man, like this window's shrinking. And I started asking myself, like, what have I accomplished? What impact have I made on this planet? Sure, my family, I'm taking care of them, this and that. But like, what if I was put here on this planet to do amazing things that could really impact the world, and I'm not doing it? And I started to think to myself, like, that's one of the ultimate sins, is the fact that you have been given an opportunity and an ability, and you're not doing it. And then I look back, Ryan, on things, and I was like, I felt like from the longest part of my life, I knew I had this ability. I knew something was special was here, but I would always like keep it in a cage because I allowed other people their talk, growing up as a kid, being bullied, discouragement, my own screw ups. And I feel like I built up a cage around me or a wall, like, and I was like this beast inside. And I thought I was crazy. I thought something was wrong with me. And then I read the 10X rule. I don't know how. My brother said, hey, this dude sounds like you. You need to read this book. I said, all right, I'll read it. And I read the 10X rule and I was like, holy cow, wait a minute. It gave me validation. I'm like, I can be a beast. I'm not the crazy one. Like the people around me are just confused. They're confused and settling. And they think that if I like want to go be an actor or be in movies, or if I want to start an awesome show and bring celebrities on and start doing amazing things and be a billionaire, like that I can do that. And they're confused thinking that I couldn't, or they're confused thinking that I shouldn't give up some things to go for that. And it just unleashed me and I started moving things out of the way, including people. And so that, I guess the wake up call was when George passed away. And I mean, he was just such a good guy, man. He was and I realized like, I'm the man now. and I'm not going to let anybody stop me. And I'm really an unstoppable being. And
isn't it crazy? You know, listen to you talk and I'm going, it sucks, but it's so powerful how something so negative and so bad could unlock something so great. You know, your stepdad passing away and is terrible and is shitty and is every reason that's terrible, but the blessing of what that unlocked in you. You ever think about that?
100%, man. And I'm a spiritual being. Like I grew up as a Christian, but I've been really studying different religions and studying things and trying to ask questions and really explore, and then go back to the Bible and say, okay, does this Bible say that this part isn't true? And so I really believe that, like, I'm a spiritual being, and when people pass on, I believe that their spirit goes on, right? And George, like, he's so passionate. If you met this guy, man, he had a real deep voice, man. Like, and he would yell at us when we were kids, never laid a hand on us. He just always told us to do good, good happens. Do bad, bad happens, right? Real simple, never really good with money. I mean, he couldn't make money. He didn't make a lot of money, but he was really good with stretching it long ways. And, but he was so passionate, man. You talk about baseball, man, he would get right up on he would jump off the couch, scare the crap out of you because he was so passionate. And I really believe, Ryan, that when he passed away, the spirit came in and he's with me. Like, when I'm not, he used to not be with me physically, right? And he couldn't do, but when now his spirit is like wherever it goes, when he literally is here somewhere, like putting a foot in my ass, like I really believe that. I can't describe. My little brother, Casey, it was his real dad. He expresses this experience that he has all the time with this. So I've seen it too much and feel it too much to know that it's true. Some people think it's like out there, and that's fine. That's their problem. But I really feel like that. I feel like I have his passion. I didn't have that before.
Yeah. You know what? Talking with C-Roc, host of What Are You Made Of and serial entrepreneur. C-Roc, so I've been fascinated recently, and I want to go down this path just for a second with you. You're talking about, we were talking about like unlocking this potential you had and taking it to the next level and what triggered that and all those things. I'm fascinated by, and I've been studying, what's the makeup, what are the variables of success? What the people that have success and the people that don't. And I haven't completely made up my mind on it every level, because I see a lot of people that they go to the 10X conference. They're doing a lot of stuff and they are grinding by any sense of the measure of the word. And I'm like, but they aren't getting anywhere, and I don't know if it's because they're focused on the wrong things or if they're unlucky or if they just haven't put together a product, a plan, a business that's like sellable. But it's a fascinating, thing for me, because I see a guy like you that's had success. So obviously you haven't had a struggle with putting it together. You just want to go bigger. But what's those variables for true success?
Yeah, so it's a question I ask myself a lot, man. And what I really understood from interviewing so many successful people is persistence. We hear it all the time, persistence, and they're just like relentless. And I use this, stubborn on my shirt here today. It says stubborn, perversely unyielding. Inexorable is another word, unyielding and unable to be stopped. That's one of the main things. But the other thing is, what are you being unstoppable towards, right? And I really feel that people aren't getting clear on what they actually want.
Yeah.
And the thing about this is, if you think about this, if I wanted you to do something for me or help me with something, right? And I sent you a message and it said A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, all the way to Z, right? Just the letters.
Yeah.
And then it had 0 to 9 digits underneath of that, right? And then I said, Ryan, dude, why aren't you helping me, man? Like, why aren't we getting this stuff done? What's going on? Right. And then there's no message there. It's not clear on what I was wanted. And that's the problem in people's mind. And so that's what people are doing. Really, literally, they're not, like, 95% of people have no clue what they really want. So when you're not clear on that, you're not clear on a mission target, you're not going to hit it. You're not going to have success. Now, if you're clear, that's the first step. If you get clear, then from there, you just got to commit. You decide, it's a decision, commit all in. Like, nobody's looking, you do it anyway. When you don't feel like it, you do it anyway. By the way, that's when you get 100% participation from yourself, because you're going to do it when it's easy. You're going to do it when people are looking, right? And then consistency, boring old consistency over long periods of time. makes the biggest thing. Well, most people get bored. And I'll be one of the first people to tell you, sometimes I get bored. You know, I know you did 300 episodes, bro. Like that's like, as well as I do. Some days you don't feel like doing the podcast. Might have been today. I don't know, but I'm gonna light your ass up, and I'm gonna light your show up, and make sure that you know that it was worth having the show today, even if you didn't feel like it, right?
Oh, I knew you were coming on, brother. So I was jazzed.
No, I know how that feels though, because some days I don't feel like freaking doing the podcast.
Yeah,
but I do it anyway because I know if I did that over a long period of time, I'm not going to recognize myself in 6 months, a year from now. And I don't know about you, but I've listened to early shows of mine, and then I compare it to a recent show, and I'm like, holy shit. Like that sounds awesome, Exactly. And I start, and so what it does is it makes you full of yourself. And that's a good thing. By the way, full of yourself. If somebody's going to talk to you, like they're going to talk to you, man, he's full of himself. Oh, this and that, Yeah, you damn right I'm full of myself, because I'd rather be full of myself than empty of myself.
Yeah. And
if you got a problem with that, that's you got to deal with that. So the other part of this success thing is people allow the wrong people in their environment to chatter, to stop them and steal their dreams from them. And I don't let that happen. I'm ridiculously non-negotiable with that. Like if somebody starts talking shit to me about what I'm doing, I'm like, listen, you got to figure that out, man.
Yeah.
Like it's not my problem.
That's on you, not me.
I love to help you. By the way, I'll help you, but I'm not stopping. Like I'm so committed. So that, and then one other thing I'll tell you, there is a true thing to this. And whether you believe in the universe or God or whatever everybody believes in, there is this, like everything's made of energy, but there's this substance that we can create things out of. Right. And the way we create things is from our thoughts. And if you really believe in this and you're committed to this, you can create anything. Like I'm looking at the guitar right there in the picture, and somebody back in the day had a thought, man, we need something to tie some strings to, make some music. And then it formulated out of energy from thought.
Yep.
Once you grasp this, man, you can be successful at anything you want, because you can create anything. Like we're put on this planet. By the way, I'll wrap with this. I get fired up about this topic.
I love it, man. That's why I asked it. I knew you'd go big.
Yeah. but here's the fact, right? Like when we create, like we're put on here on this planet to create, right? We're put here to create. If you stop creating, you go back to the planet. You go back to the earth. You start to destroy. So you're either creating or destroying. And that's what people don't really understand. They get stuck in this middle ground or the destroying part. And so success, man, I said a lot there. I think I covered it.
You did, man. But I think you said something interesting there. I mean, you're either building up or tearing down. It really 100%. Comes down to that. Like, because you either tearing down someone else or yourself, right? I mean, it's like, and a lot of people, it's 50-50. Some people, they're their own worst enemies, and some people, well, they're listening to the wrong people, because they're just getting teared down by others, which it all circles around you, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, you got to take responsibility. And the other thing is taking action.
Yeah.
Right. Most people will get a lot of concept, like digital courses, for example. Yeah. People watch digital courses. They don't even finish them, but they don't finish them because then they don't know what to do afterwards. They don't know what actions to take. Matter of fact, we started a platform called Blooprinted. It's BLOOprinted.com. And if people go to Blooprinted, it forces creators and experts and consultants to put their content in an actionable step-by-step process instead of a consumption, which turns people into spectators.
Yeah.
Taters.
I like that.
Everybody wants to be a freaking tater. And it makes people do the practical part of it and take action. And that's, you go to events, a lot of people go to masterminds, 10X GrowthCon, all this, and they don't take action.
Yeah.
So that's the other
Well, they get pumped up, like those pump up sessions and all that stuff. And then, it lasts, they get motivated for about a day or two, and then it kind of fades. But talk to me about the C-Roc brand, man. Like, you're a serial entrepreneur, you got hands in a million things, but let's give everybody kind of a summary of, what your brand is and how you've leveraged the podcast and other things to kind of build it.
Yeah. So back in 19, when that was all going on, I was grinding my local market to get known for the real estate mortgage space, right? Just grinding, dude. And listen, with all due respect to real estate agents, like most of them are looking for the next happy hour, the donuts that people bring to them and all this rather than building themselves.
Right.
And I would have local events, and 2 people would show up, and 10 people, and 15, and then 1. And then I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And I was grinding. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I'm aiming too low. So I started thinking to myself, well, maybe I should just aim for the whole mid-Atlantic region. And I'm like, if I do that, I might as well just go for the nation. Like, let's go nationwide with this stuff, man. Let them know who I am and what I do. Because most people do not operate on like the way I do, like unstoppable, relentless. You like people cannot talk me out of something, right? Like I'm going to do it. And you mentioned this on my show, like you want something, you go get it.
Yep.
Right. So then I started thinking, okay, globally, then Congress was talking about UFOs. And I'm like, well, if there's aliens, like let the aliens know who I am. And then I started just thinking that way. I'm not saying there's aliens, guys, so relax. I'm not saying I need to get known by every single person on the planet, but I just started expanding my mind. And when I did that, it took actually less energy than I was spending in my local market to blow this up. And we put a little bit of money in the logo and made it, look like I put some intention into it. And I just started getting loud and obnoxious about, creating unstoppable people. Because Ryan, what I do is I take a mission, which is all people are unstoppable to living the life of their dreams. And then everything I do, I filter through that mission. And if it doesn't go with that mission, I get rid of it. And so I just talk about that all the time. And then all the companies that I set up, the reason it works is I have great people around me, but more importantly, everything aligns together. If it doesn't align, I get rid of it.
It makes a lot of sense. I like to call it simple, but it ain't easy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not, the formula ain't complicated, but it takes the right coach, the right program, blueprint, to get there. And that sounds like that's what you're unlocking for people.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, helping people, like when I see success in something, and I know you're the same way, then I want to show other people how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I create a business around that. Like the podcast agency started I've been on over 400 episodes of other people's shows, over 300 of my own, 700 in the last 3 years. I got something figured out. So I figured, you know what, let me help other people do this with what we have. And it immediately, it's one of the companies I started that actually blew up right away. And, I've grinded. I got tech startups right now that are just like, oh my gosh, like I'm an impatient son of a bitch. and that's the first thing that boom, I'm like, holy shit, it works. It can work. Business does work again. Like I say again, because I've had success in the mortgage space, but I really haven't had a lot of success financially in anything else besides that, like to the level of that mortgage, like 10 million in revenue over, in a year. So, but the podcast agency blew up and now I'm looking for strategic partnerships and really want to blow this thing up and not compete, like collaborate, man. I want to collaborate, strategic partnerships, man.
I love it. I know we're up against it on the time. We're going to have a part 2 of this because it's my fucking show and you're kick ass and I want to do it again.
Man, thanks.
So we'll pick it back up and do a part B. I think everybody got a little taste of C-Roc and all the value he brings. So I know you'll want part 2 of this. Mike C-Roc, where can everybody keep up with all you've got going on?
Yeah, I got a clubhouse rooms that I do 3-4 times a week. It's a good place to access me. And then, of course, Instagram at Mikey C-Roc, C-R-O-C.
Go check out his podcast. What Are You Made Of? I'll be on the show soon. He's on mine because we're going to be doing some cool shit together. I know we are, brother. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, guys, you know where to find us, theradcast.com. Search for CROC. You'll find all the highlight clips from today, as well as the full episodes. You know where I'm at Ryan Alford on the platform. Go follow me on TikTok. I'm blowing up. We'll see you next time on the Radcast.
To listen or watch full episodes, visit us on the web at theradcast.com or follow us on social media at our Instagram account, the.rad.cast, or at Ryan Alford. Stay radical.